All right, guys, trending in the AM, recorded in the PM. We've got a jam-packed show. Howie Roseman dropping a bombshell about Carson Wentz and the Eagles, and we're just going to talk about the whole rebuild of what he did. My man Marc Moschitelli's joining me, and he's got this weird fascination of hatred towards Andy Reid. So we're going to talk the coaching matchup today. We got Peenut and Evan joining us. Trending in the AM starts in 30 seconds.
Gets around in front. Joel Embiid and Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media Live. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms, but make sure you do me that favor. Hit that like button and subscribe button on the DSM Media YouTube page. Help us continue that trek to 1,000 subscribers. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. We got joining me today in this pre-recorded show. So we are pre-recorded. So drop your comments and questions, but I will check them all on the recording. We got my man, Peenut and Evan from the Birds, Beer, and BS show, and the soon-to-debut breaking news, the new podcast coming soon, Weekly Worries. Peenut and Evan right there, my man, from the shit show right there. Good evening or good morning, guys.
What's going on?
Down below, we've got Marc Moschitelli, aka Oscar's Picture. Marc, how you doing?
Good. We have a little bit of a technical difficulty. Hopefully you can at least hear me.
We can hear you. It looks like Oscar's talking. Probably what the problem is, Marc, the 20,000 people from your town that you invited over on Super Bowl Sunday showed up tonight and are stealing your Wi-Fi. I got no comment on it, Marc, on that. I hope he's still there. All right, Peenut, Evan, I'm glad you guys.
That's a possibility, Phil. That is a great possibility.
I am so glad to have Peenut joining the show.
Oh, this is going to be a silly show.
Yeah, Marc, we're recording right now, and you are lagging like crazy. So I'm asking questions, and 30 minutes later, you're responding. So, yeah, that's going really well. Peenut, Evan, tell everybody where they can find what you guys do, Birds, Beer, and BS. And, yeah, I am rocking it for the first time ever on Trending the AM. You know, it's kind of a daisy move, but I'm wearing my AAT Birds original hoodie right here.
Hey, Birds, Beers, and BS, AAT Sports Media Network. You can catch us usually on Thursdays, Fridays, or whenever Jeffrey's available, I guess. Weekly Warriors will be on my broadcasting system, which is on YouTube, strictly just YouTube. It's going to be me and Evan talking a little history, just basically just hanging out, talking and letting you guys kind of in on our conversations that we have on a weekly basis. Yeah, you know, we don't do much.
Can I?
Sure, buddy, go ahead.
So, I have a YouTube channel.
Go ahead. You want to plug your YouTube channel?
I want to hear about your YouTube channel. I'm already on your YouTube channel, Evan.
My YouTube channel mostly posts memes.
Okay.
And I have like 3.41K subscribers.
Man, that puts us to shame.
I know.
I
That makes me feel awful.
I wish you guys had more subscribers than me.
No, we need your help, buddy.
We need your subscribers to subscribe to our channels.
Right.
Yeah.
But, all right, cool beans, brother. All right.
Let's
get this
Let's finish the show this morning because this is Aaron in the morning. Normally, this is the cup of coffee. I've got an adult beverage going here in the morning.
I got water.
Yeah, that's no fun.
No.
So, guys, literally right before we started this recording, I read an article about. Hold on, I got something in the private chat here. That's Marc. He's shutting down things. Maybe he's going to be better here. So, guys, an article broke from Marcus Hayes late Wednesday night about an interview he did with Howie Roseman, where Howie Roseman finally, this week at Super Bowl week, dropped the bombshell, basically throwing Carson Wentz under the bus. Something that the Eagles have not done at all. They've kept their mouths shut. We're gonna try one more person added to this stream. Jeff, are you there?
Jack, you finally hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Oh my God!
We're here now.
Let's
We've got
go.
one of the original founders, one of the guys that got me started. My man Jeff Warner here, also from Birds Beer and BS, one of the founding members of AT Birds. Like I got it right there. You know, I'm wearing the original shirt for you, Jeff, right there. Good evening, good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Good morning. It's fucking 9:15 at night, dude.
Whoa,
Yeah, but we're not live. This is pre-recorded for tomorrow morning's Trending in the AM. Don't you know what you're doing?
This is going to be a wild show. Did you
This
hear
is
that?
Yeah, we hear you, Mark. This is going to be the show that every executive at ESPN tunes into, and my whole career is over as soon as this show airs.
I got traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, Evan, you live with Peenut, Evan, so you're traumatized on a daily basis.
Every day.
I got traumatized.
I'm surprised he's so smart. I don't know where he got to get it from his mom, man. He definitely doesn't get it from me.
Of course.
All right, let's get to the conversation here for today, guys. So this Marcus Hayes article talking about Howie Roseman and talking about Howie Roseman's conversation about, basically Carson Wentz and throwing Carson Wentz under the bus, basically, that he questioned how, Carson Wentz's toughness. He questioned Carson Wentz being able to handle the pressure of being a starting quarterback in the NFL. First and foremost, and we'll start with Peenut, we'll go down to Jeff, then we'll go to Mark. First off, I think this is terrible timing. And I think this is Howie Roseman's first mistake. Even bringing Carson Wentz into the conversation, Super Bowl week. We do not need any of this bad mood juju and bad mojo happening right now. Obviously, Howie Roseman, made all the right decisions here fixing this problem. But is this a bad timing, Peenut, on bringing up Carson Wentz and everything?
I would say it's bad timing, but I think that question had to be, or that topic had to be brought up eventually. It's one of those, it was a powder keg per se. Like it just builds. And now Super Bowl weekend, you're going to get asked the question. So why not just go ahead and put it out there? And by the way, he's not wrong on what he said. No. So timing bad, yes, but eventually, some reporter was going to ask the question. I'm sure one of his PR reps were like, look, just go ahead, get it out the way. And then if they ask again, you can say, well, I already commented, you can go back. Bad time. I think a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of bad timing when it's Super Bowl weekend. I mean, let's face it, we're all superstitious fans, and we don't want to tip the karma scale against us. So anytime something like this happens, you think bad timing, but at the same time, it was a question that was going to be asked. He just got it out the way. It's done. It's written. And that's how I feel about it, folks.
Jeff, I don't even know if you saw the article, guys, because I read it 15 minutes before we joined the studio here, and it's bad timing. But honestly, is there anybody luckier, Jeff, than Howie Roseman? I mean, he made every bad decision, giving the contract extension to Carson Wentz, firing Doug Peterson for Carson Wentz, having to eat all that dead cap money, and Jalen Hurts has turned into literally one of the best quarterbacks in football. I mean, It's bad timing, in my opinion, Jeff, but Howie Roseman got really damn lucky here, didn't he?
I say, was it luck or was it good foresighting on his part? Look, we don't know what Howie Roseman was thinking when he made the selection of Jalen Hurts. Did he think it was an investment? Did he think it was going to spiral out of control the way it did with Carson Wentz, and Jalen Hurts turns into an MVP candidate and you finally have your franchise quarterback? Who knows? What was that? I thought someone said something. Look, you can't dwell on the past. You have to look what's now. You have to look what's the future. And right now, Carson Wentz ain't our starting quarterback, and Jalen Hurts is. And look, these media days and these during Super Bowl week, everyone is allowed in there. Everyone's in there asking a question. Everyone wants to try to get their name out there. Look at the reporters that asked Nick Sirianni if Sunday's game is a must-win football game. You're in the biggest game of your career, in the Super Bowl, the final game of the season, and a reporter had the audacity to ask, is it a must-win? And then you have someone else asking about about Nick Sirianni's daughter, which player you wouldn't allow him with or something. The NFL really has to do a better job. I know the question was about Howie Roseman. The NFL has to do a better job of who they allow into these press conferences and who they consider media. If me and you aren't allowed there, then why the heck are half these Joe Schmoes there right now asking these stupid ass questions?
I firmly agree with you on that. I mean, there's some really bad questions, very bad taste, poor timing. But to answer your thing, like, so you said we don't really know what was going on in that Jalen Hurts decision to draft him. In this interview, in these questions, Marcus Hayes writes that Howie Roseman specifically said, we looked around, we knew we needed depth at quarterback because we'd been to the playoffs how many times, and Carson Wentz had played 12 total snaps in the playoffs. So it was made to be a backup move to, or a hedge your bet kind of move to Carson Wentz. But again, Mark, and you're big into karma and stuff like that too. I still just feel like it's bad timing. Like, I would have just said, look, the whole situation is what it is. Let's just move on from it and try to have steered the conversation away from Carson Wentz this week. And if you want to talk about it again 2 weeks from now, that's fine. But right now, I wanted to keep the focus on my team and not the former players, Mark. Mark, test 1 2 1 2.
Is he having my problem?
He's lagging really bad.
And hopefully you can hear me and see me and all that.
We can hear you now, yeah.
You're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I'll try to get this out real fast. So remember when this is not working. I'm going to talk and then you just cut me off. Remember when McCown got hurt, there was a rumor that Howie Roseman went into the locker room. Wentz. When Wentz got hurt and McCown was playing on the bum leg, there was a rumor that Howie went into the locker room and flipped his shit and tried to force him to get back onto the field and play because he put all his eggs in Wentz's basket and, he was letting him down again. And it wasn't really a good look for Roseman if that was true, especially with the head injury. But I think that situation forced his hand. I got to get somebody that is not a Josh McCown. So when this does happen again, I could slide him in and then dump Wentz or do whatever. And I think, listen, for the last 2+ years, they've asked Howie 7 different ways about what was going on. And I think he had it. And he's proven to everybody that he can build these Super Bowl teams. And he just let loose. And they caught him at the right time. They gave the answer that I think we were all been waiting for. And, is it the best timing? Probably not. But it should put the end to the Carson Wentz saga here in Philadelphia. That's my 2 cents.
I really think, guys, that this whole article, and you guys will read it after the show, kind of just really reiterates how damn good of a GM and an evaluator of people, coaches and quarterbacks and talent Howie Roseman has become. Because, and Jeff, you think about it this way, there was a lot of rumors that it was Howie and Doug that were fighting, that they didn't get along. But in this article, it clearly states that in the interview process, Howie fired Doug to appease Carson Wentz. And then when they brought it, then that was not enough for him. And that's why they had to trade him. So it might have been that, that was the problem. It wasn't a beef between Doug and Howie. It was all Carson Wentz. And the fact that Howie Roseman has been able to take all those mistakes he made with Carson Wentz, and like Mark just said, we are back in the Super Bowl literally how long? 2 years after the blow up. I mean, I think it's a major kudos to who Howie Roseman is as an executive.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And guess who was on Howie's bandwagon during this whole thing? Out of the 3 guys here, I'm guessing out of you 3, besides me, I'm guessing maybe Mark was on. I'm not sure, but I know Jeff, you crapped all over Howie.
I did.
Phil, you crapped all over Howie.
I did.
And listen, Howie's good at building Super Bowl teams, and he made. I mean, we can't discredit the mistakes that he made, but I mean, to make up for what he did, I think he did pretty well. And maybe he's seen the writing on the wall, and he knew Hurts was more or less a project, and it could fill in for maybe a game or two to do what he needed to do. But I mean, the way how he built the roster, finessed the salary cap, I listen. Howie's as much of a reason why we're in the Super Bowl than any player that we got. And Howie, I'm hoping one of these days you'll at least watch one of my shows, because I've been bigging you up before everyone was bigging you up. Maybe you can give us the exclusive interview. And if you don't want Jeff there, that's fine. We'll blank him out. We'll blur his face, Howie, because he's the one that crapped on you, not me.
This is going to be the show, Peenut, that he watches. This disaster.
I sure hope so, man.
Because look, to play devil's advocate, yes, Howie has done this twice now. He's built a team in 2 years and helped made us a Super Bowl team and a Super Bowl possibly another Super Bowl championship. But the question is, how well of a GM can Howie Roseman be after this game? Because this is going to be a very difficult offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles and their future on how they build this roster. We know Jalen Hurts is getting paid, and that's going to hinder the cap even more. And you have a bunch of players on the defense side of football that are most likely not going to be here next season. So you have to try to rebuild that defense this offseason. Of course, you have some players on the offense side of the ball that are going to be do some contracts. What are they going to do with Miles Sanders? Dallas Goedert's going to be doing a contract soon. Devontae Smith in a couple years. Offensive line, you'll know what's going to happen with Kelsey. I know they have what's his name? The guy they drafted this past year.
Cam Jurgens.
Yeah, they have Cam, and you'll know what's going to happen with Sayamalu. So there's going to be a lot. I'm not trying to say the door is closing on the Eagles already, but it's going to be a tough job for Howie Roseman that he's definitely going to have to hit on these draft picks in this coming April.
You said something at the beginning that really, really, pointed me in another direction here. The one thing Howie said, and we heard from Jeffrey Lurie earlier this week say as well, we never heard Howie and Jeffrey publicly stand up for Carson Wentz ever. Yeah. They were always, maybe we'll see, whatever. Both of them have flat out said, yes, he has earned the contract to be the franchise quarterback going forward. Like, they are adamant in what Jalen Hurts is. And there'll be negotiation because you get 40 million, 38, 45, whatever. There'll be a negotiation there. But the fact that both Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman has stood up this week in front of all these media people and just flat out said, Jalen Hurts is our guy and we want him to be our guy. I think that's a vote of confidence to Jalen Hurts and doesn't take the pressure off of him this week, but, makes him feel better about his security, because obviously the Eagles haven't been the most secure organization with quarterbacks over the years.
Here's what I'll say, Phil.
Okay, go ahead.
Those guys would not have said anything at all and given away their bargaining chip if they didn't already have a deal in place. There's something in place, and that's why they said that. And Jeff, to your point, yes, they have a lot of guys that are on those one-year deals, those prove-it deals. I think if we get half of them back, it's a win. They do have to hit on those 2 first rounds picks. I think one of them will be a cornerback. I don't think you'll see Bradford back. I do think you'll see C.J. Gardner Jr. back. I don't like talking about who's coming back and who's not, and the Super Bowl hasn't even been played yet, though. So you talk about Carmen and stuff like that. I'm not sure if I want to go into a deep dive. But back to Howie Roseman, how many GMs out there have been given the opportunity to hire 3 coaches and dig himself out of the holes that he made in that? And it really speaks volumes to the trust that Jeff has with Howie and Howie's ability to get out of those damn holes. Because really, when they hired Sirianni, did you have any faith in year 1 that they were going to go to the playoffs? And did you have any faith in year 2 that we'd be on the cusp of our second Super Bowl in 5 years? Because I sure as hell didn't.
Yeah, me and Jeff did a breaking news show, literally 30 minutes, maybe an hour after Nick Sirianni was hired as head coach. It was me, Jeff, and another guy. We won't mention his name on this show, even though I'm wearing the All About the Bird shirt. Just so you know, I'm wearing it just for.
Oh, I didn't notice you were wearing it.
Yeah, AT Birds right there. It's an original, one of the originals right there. It says hashtag set the trends on the back, just so you know. But we did that breaking news show, me and Jeff, and to your point, Mark, Howie Roseman has had the opportunity to fix this team multiple times, and it seems like he's getting better every single time that he makes these decisions. So, yeah, Mark, I don't want to worry about next year till after the Super Bowl. But as a whole, I would assume all 4 of us here are confident that Howie Roseman's going to continue to make good choices going forward, where 5 years ago we would have all sat here and said, get Howie Roseman out of here, right? Peenut, are you confident that no matter what happens on Sunday, we're in a good place?
Yeah, I think we are in a good place, and I think to build on what Jeff said earlier, there's going to be a lot of mixing and matching between signing people, drafting people, but we've already got a head start. Like we're going to most likely lose Cox. There's already Davis in there, and then you have the Kobe Dean at linebacker if Kaiser White goes, and I like what he's doing. It's basically he's using these veterans for the time being, and he's getting these young guys. Look, man, he's getting these young guys to get acclimated to the game under these basically like Pro Bowl caliber players. You know what I mean? So 2 first-round picks next year. Not sure if we're going to use both of them, but if we do, if we nail both of those, we're still in a good situation to keep these things. It's almost like a Gatling gun. As one bullet goes, the other one reloads. And if he can keep up this trend with trading this, that, and the third and getting high picks for the next couple of years, I think we're going to be in a good position. I'm not going to say the D word, but we're in a good position to keep at least having winning records throughout the Hurts's career. So I like what he's doing, man. I've always liked it. Even when he messes up, and he rebuilds himself, you're not going to hit 100%. He's not great at drafting. I get that. But the one thing he's really good with is building rosters. So if he continues on this trend, I mean, it looks pretty good, man. I mean, look.
Think about it this way, Peenut. Howie Roseman had the whole Carson Wentz debacle, and we rebounded pretty damn quickly. The Colts had the same exact Carson Wentz debacle, and they look like they're trending like it's a full year removed, and they're trending in the wrong direction. They can't recover from the Carson Wentz debacle because that's the difference between having a solid organization. No offense to the Colts, but Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, compared to Irsay, and I don't even know who their GM is. There's a big difference in the top of the culture there, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. Look, I'll say this is why when Jeffrey Lurie a couple of years ago, when I can't remember whether it was when they brought in Chip Kelly or what it was, but he said that he wanted the Philadelphia Eagles organization to be the gold standard. And right now, this Eagles organization, they're becoming the gold standard, and they have the potential to be the top for years to come. They have their franchise quarterback in place. They have one of the best young up-and-coming coaches in all of the National Football League, and they have one of the best GMs in football right now. So the Eagles have an opportunity, if they win on Sunday, to be the trendsetters for the rest of the NFL for however many years. Hopefully, Jalen Hurts is here under center.
I've actually used that term. They aren't becoming the gold standard, Jeff. I've talked about it a lot in the last 2 weeks. They are the gold standard organization now because of everything you just said. I think they're already there as the gold standard.
I agree. I agree they're getting there, but I believe they have to win multiple Super Bowls before they can be considered the gold standard. That's what, if they win on Sunday, absolutely.
Mark,
you heard it here first.
When Jeff bought the team in '94, he said that we wanted to be like the San Francisco 49ers. We want to be the gold standard. And he was laughed off the podium. And listen, it took 29 years. I'm going to make an argument that they may be a top 3 franchise in the NFL and top 10 in all of American sports. From where they were to where they are today, regardless of how many championships they've won, but where they are today, as a kid growing up in the 80s, I was programmed to the point where we will never have anything good when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, you'll get a playoff berth, a win here or there, but this isn't for you and your fans and your team. He's changed that. I'm going into this Sunday's game with an expectation to win, not an expectation of, hey, it's really nice to be here, because we won 5 years ago, and the way this game is lining up, I think it could be a blowout. If they do the things that I think they're going to do, it might be a fun Sunday. It's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's a very great.
I'm like on an 8-minute delay.
Yeah, no, I mean 8-second delay, not 8 minute, 8-second delay. We're gonna start. We're gonna get into the game now for you guys, because I'll make on Friday's show. Me and Jason will do our basic predictions, our keys, how the game plan will work out for us on Friday's show again. So make sure you're liking and subscribing. turning on notifications on all social media platforms so you know when we're live. But to Mark and Sunday, I think it starts with we all heard Chris Sims' comments today, with John Clark. I shared them out if you missed them, saying that Jalen Hurts has the easiest job in the NFL. It's the easiest quarterback position. He's completely forgetting about, the losses with Gardner Minshew. He's completely forgetting that he just has no idea who Jalen Hurts is. But I think it starts with, if Jalen Hurts' job is so easy, it starts with the coach and the systems that are put in place. And I know Mark has an extreme distaste for the head coach we're going up against in Andy Reid. He really, 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 really hates Andy Reid, even though he sent me a screenshot of one of his Facebook memories from when Andy Reid won his first Super Bowl with the Chiefs, saying, I am so happy that Andy Reid won. So he's a flip-flopper. Mark is a flip-flopper. All right, so we're going to start with Peenut, then we're going to Jeff, and then we'll let Mark go last because he's the one that's got the unbiased, the extra biased opinion on Andy Reid. Talk about the comparison, Peenut, of Andy Reid and all that experience and how Nick Sirianni has none, but looks like an experienced veteran in front of all these media lights this week.
Look, I don't hate Andy Reid as much as Mark does, but I could understand where the hatred might come from. Let's not forget the years that we fell short. 4 years in a row, heartbreaking 4 years in a row, and then it was mediocrity after mediocrity. I mean, he did well, got us into the playoffs, but did any of us ever expect Andy Reid to actually win the big one with Philly when he was there? Well, at one point we all did, but after experiencing the heartbreaking losses, the Tampa Bay loss and whatnot, like you get to the point where how Mark said earlier, I'm from the 80s too, Mark, so I understand the heartbreak. Trust me. And you kind of program yourself like this it's just not there. And for some reason, Nick Sirianni and I'm gonna put a little hash by his name and put Roseman next to that because I feel like without Roseman doing what he did this offseason, I don't think Nick Sirianni makes that big leap. Or Gannon, for a lack of a better term, makes that jump. I'm surprised how fast it went, and I like that Nick Sirianni. What is the second year into this system? Like, you got second year into the system. You had a quarterback that presumably didn't know how to throw the ball, was just a runner. You had a defense that was giving up yardage, dinking dunk yardage, and nobody in their right mind last year would say that this would be the year that the Philadelphia Eagles would make it to the Super Bowl. So kudos to Sirianni, but there's always a slash next to Sirianni. It's almost like Darth Vader and the Emperor. Like Sirianni's Darth Vader, and Roseman would be the Emperor. You know what I mean? Emperor Palpatine. For all y'all nerds,
I think you're
know what I'm talking about.
I think you're making a great point, Peenut, because either Howie Roseman is a genius or he is the luckiest guy alive, or a little combination, or a little combination of both. But all the success this year goes to Sirianni, goes to Jalen Hurts, but Howie Roseman does get forgotten about. But again, it'll get played Sunday on the field, and you've got a legend, one of the 10 best coaches of all time, in Andy Reid, going up against a guy like you said, he's in his second year. Jeff, do you think that how do you look at this comparison? Because, like I said, it looks like Sirianni's been here, done that before.
I'll say you really can't compare the two. I would say, look, Andy Reid, when his career is over and done with, as much as Mark hates him, and it was the right time when Andy left. But look, Andy's gonna go down as one of the top 3, top 4 best head coaches in NFL history when it's all said and done. Whether he wins another couple of Super Bowls or not, he's gonna be top 3 probably in total wins for a head coach. And who knows how much longer he's gonna do it. He probably still has another 5-6 years or so, even at his age. So Andy Reid, he's definitely one of the best of all time. Sirianni's just getting his feet wet, and I feel Sirianni, if he continues the way he is and the way he lets his players play and believe in them, and I kind of feel that helps. We always talk about Andy Reid being a player's coach. I feel Nick Sirianni is even more of a player's coach. This dude has every one of his players' backs. He's wearing their different T-shirts with their faces on it, showing their support, whether they were hurt, coming back from injury, just for the heck of it. And I feel the players are buying into that. It also helps that for Sirianni, he probably has the best Eagles roster in franchise history under his belt this season or this year. I was saying there's no doubt about it. They're breaking NFL records or close to breaking NFL records left and right. They're about to break possibly the sack record. They have the #1 offense in the National Football League. They broke a bunch of franchise records. Granted, I understand we have the extra game now, but still, right. you can't deny the results and the success they have had this season, and they are far beyond where this program, where people expected them to be. And a lot of that has to do with Nick Sirianni. So I understand he's only in his second year, but his first 2 years, he's made the playoffs and now a Super Bowl, coming from a head coach that we all criticized when he had his introductory press conference because he sounded like a buffoon.
He did sound like a buffoon.
But here's the thing, actually, Jeff, you make a very interesting point. And he has a swagger. We did a segment on the show. I forget who was on with me. I don't know if it was Ed Kratz or Sean Brace, about his swagger and about how he's the new style of head coach in the NFL. It's not the prim and proper shirt and tie and, Andy Reid style where no emotion. He shows that emotion. And you talk about the shirts, and I did a whole thing with T-shirt gate last year and all. Wouldn't we, Jeff, to stay with you for a second, if he got knocked out in the first or second round of the playoffs, would we still be having these same – say they go 14-3, but get knocked down in the championship game to the 49ers. Are we still thinking the same way about Nick Sirianni if he doesn't get to the Super Bowl? Or are we still thinking positively about the future? Because I think I would be. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but I think I'd still have that positive feeling about him.
Absolutely, you still have that positivity. The fact that he was I had them making the playoffs, maybe winning a playoff game or two. I didn't expect them being the #1 seed in the NFL this season. He absolutely blew out my expectations for this Eagles team. And look, this team, we brought before that this team is still set for the future. They still have a young quarterback. They have quite possibly the best tandem, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Hopefully they extend Dallas Goedert, who's one of the upcoming best tight ends in the National Football League. And they arguably have the best offensive line and defensive line in football right now, with a lot of key players returning next season. So obviously the future is definitely bright, whatever happened this season within the playoffs.
See, Jeff, you said you weren't that positive. Here's my prediction from the opening kickoff show: 15-2 with a Super Bowl victory. Every win and loss, I had them losing in week 11 and week 16 to Dallas. That was it. That was my prediction. You can go back and check it.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and check that.
Yeah, you can go back and check it. I've already double-checked to make sure that my information was correct. All right, so now the moment of the show. This is getting Marc Moschitelli's hatred for Andy Reid. And before you talk, Mark, I know why you don't like Andy Reid, because of all his failures here in Philadelphia. But I'm going to give you a comparison before you talk, Mark. Mr. Coach Marv Levy, coach of the Buffalo Bills, lost 4 straight Super Bowls. He is beloved in Buffalo. Beloved. But yet Andy Reid, because he fell short 5 times in Philadelphia, is hated by people like you. You're not from Delco, but you kind of sound like a Delco guy when you're bashing Andy Reid. So why is it that you've got such a problem with Andy Reid here? And this is going to be on a slight lag, guys, just so you know. Yes, lag. 1, 2, 3, 4,
okay.
5.
Well, first of all, I want to go back to Peenut and what he said. You're killing me. You're killing me. I'm going to go back to what Peenut said on his analogy, Howie Roseman. I think it's a perfect. I don't think you'll ever see the Eagles go back to a Andy Reid type coach where he calls all the shots. That's not going to happen anymore. He had 14 chances to win a Super Bowl. 14. He went to 4 straight NFC title games. He only won 1 of them. That 2002 team that lost that last game of the Vet, that was a Super Bowl winner. And for them to lose that game was an utter disgrace. Abs knocked out of the game. I vividly remember Runyon and Staley on the sidelines begging Andy Reid to run the ball. No, just kept throwing with McCoy Detmer. And it was a 14-3 game, a disgrace of a loss. So now you come to 2004, you finally get over the hump, but Owens is hurt. You come into that Super Bowl, they made a ton of mistakes in that game. They weren't prepared. Their clock management was off the charts awful. Again, they had a chance to win that game as well, and they failed miserably. Now, after that 2004 that season, they kind of fell off a cliff. They backdoor into the playoffs in 2008. They get to the NFC Championship. They lose to one of the worst organizations in football. Honestly, at that point, Andy needed to go. And you had how many more seasons after that? 5 more seasons after that. And it was he was an ignorant, arrogant bully of a coach who bullied the media, the local media, and in turn our fans. He was protected by the national media being a fat, jolly old self, the type of guy he was. He refused to run the ball. He refused to get top-notch receivers until Terrell wins because he thought his system worked. Let me see what Owens that should have went a hell of a lot further than it did. His time management was critical of were awful, and it cost them so many important wins. God, he fires Sean McDermott. Started losing. Are you not hearing me? This is crazy.
We're losing you here, Mark. I'm
stuck a championship. He let B-Dog walk. You're cutting me off, aren't you?
I might have.
Listen, listen. I'm not stupid. He was the greatest coach that the Eagles had. He was the greatest coach that the Eagles had, the most winningest coach. But he had a ton of flaws that Lurie put up with for too long, and he tried to replace him with Chip Kelly, who would mimic what he's did, and then Lurie learned what not to do. And that's why you saw a coach like Doug Peterson, who they can control, and a guy now like Sirianni, who they can control. And if Sirianni starts to get some clout to the point where he wants to take control of the entire organization like Reid has, I don't think you'll see Nick longer than 5 years win a Super Bowl or not, because I think they're going with the Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman model because it seems to work, because it's got him to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years with 2 coaches and 2 quarterbacks.
Well, it does work. And Peenut, we're going to cut Mark off there because that was a mouthful right there. That was a long rant. So basically, it sounds like Mark thinks that Nick Sirianni's the better head coach heading into the Super Bowl. Jeff, since Peenut's muted there, do you have any thoughts on what part of that rant that you heard right there?
I'll say, look,
Mark, it was a lot to take in.
A lot to take in. And look, Mark is right. Andy, his time here, he had his flaws. There are definitely a lot of things that hindered this organization from winning a Super Bowl a lot sooner. All of it, Andy? I don't believe so. Like, look, I would say I feel Joe Banner played a part, especially in the T.O. debacle, not wanting to give him the contract because he believed that if you're a man and a player, you sign the contract, you don't deserve to get money, that whole hoopla. So I can't completely put that on Andy, the whole T.O. debacle. But look, Andy, there's a love-hate relationship with Andy. We were glad and we were rooting for him in the city of Philadelphia when he won his first Super Bowl. He got his pass. Now that we're facing him and going forward, we don't care if Andy wins. I'm not going to be one of those fans at the end of this game if for some reason the Eagles don't come out victorious, that we are going to say, okay, we lost, but at least Andy won the championship, or at least no one thought we would be here. I don't want any moral victories. I'll say the expectations are going to be set going forward. We know what this team can do. We know what Jalen Hurts can do. We know what Nick Sirianni can do, and we expect us to be in the driver's seat and in this position year in and year out going forward. So, Andy, I'll say I'm not going out there trying to beat Andy. I'm going out there to have the Eagles to win the football game. I don't care if it's Andy Reid or Bill Belichick out there. I want the Eagles to win.
I think it's a really great way to phrase it up right there, Jeff.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah.
Do you? And again, maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I am, but I think Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman called a meeting with Sirianni, the coordinators, and the leaders of that team and said, don't fuck this up. You are not to embarrass us on this national stage. I sincerely think that conversation took place. And the reason why I'm saying that, as much as we do like Jeff Lurie, and I like him, these owners are egomaniacs, and they don't like to be embarrassed. And at the very least, we're going to see a close game, but I do think it's going to be a blowout. And I think the Eagles run away with it on Sunday, and I think that's part of the reason. You have some folks on this Eagles team now that feel have been disrespected, yet they keep proving over and over again that they're the guy. Sirianni's one. Hurts is just locked in. Devontae Smith is locked in. That front line, that offensive line is ready to go. And you got our coordinators, our Steichen and Gannon, and especially Gannon. When he came out with that video, said he was going to gut those guys, like totally turned me from questioning him to he's one of us now. I have a lot of confidence in this team. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I think they win big. I think we're going to have a really big party on Sunday.
I love it. Peenut, I want to, since you're such a big long-term Howie supporter, something that Marc said that's still stuck in my head here a second ago was about how that if Nick Sirianni gets too much confidence and power, Howie Roseman's going to move on from him. But see, the whole thing that we've been talking about in the first half of the show about Howie Roseman learning from his mistakes, I don't think that's true what Marc was saying. I think Howie has learned how to actually work with his head coach to be a better GM. And I think that's why we're seeing such a quick turnaround with this franchise. Do you think what I'm saying is more accurate than what Marc's saying there?
I think it's somewhere in between. I don't think Howie lets Sirianni get to the point where he feels like he could even ask for that much power. I think the way Howie sees it is more or less a partnership. Like, hey, look, buddy, I'm going to give you everything you need, but simmer down with that GM stuff. I'm going to take care of this, and you just make sure your team is ready to go. Hence Sirianni not calling offensive plays, hence Sirianni relinquishing certain duties to make sure that the team is basically doing what it's supposed to do. Basically, Howie is a conductor. I'm sorry, not Howie. Basically, Sirianni is the conductor, and the players are the ones that are playing the instruments, and then Howie is the arena. You know what I mean? He's a guy that makes sure everyone's supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't think Sirianni would even ask for that much power. I don't think he's the kind of coach that would. I think Chip Kelly, his ego made him ask pretty much within the first year or so. He was already at that point where he wanted to rebuild this roster. I think that's why Sirianni was hired to begin with. Everyone was wondering why Doug was gone and Sirianni was implemented into this system. I think Sirianni said, look, do you, I'll do me, and let's see if we can win some championships. And so far, so good. I don't think Sirianni's ever going to ask for that, and that's why I think Howie hired
the thing is, what I was trying to get is I don't think Nick Sirianni will ask for it because I think there's an open line of dialogue between Nick Sirianni said after last year, Howie, this is what we need to get better. And instead of Howie saying, no, this is what you need, you make it work. There's actual communication between the coach and the GM, which makes the franchise better as a whole. And Jeff, I don't know where you stand on this conversation. Do you think that there's a better communication dialogue because Howie Roseman's become a better and smarter GM now over the time?
I feel there's open dialogue. I feel that from just seeing the press conferences and seeing what throughout the season, I feel that Sirianni and Lurie and Howie Roseman, they get well together. I feel there's not a lot of tension. There's not a lot of anger or what's the word I'm looking for? Either way, we don't have the similar situation that we had here with Doug, where Doug felt he was being micromanaged, where Doug felt that why am I having weekly meetings with Howie Roseman to talk about my football team? I feel Sirianni is just appreciative for the opportunity and appreciative that he's in the position that he is in at his age and given the opportunity. Not many people would give him the opportunity that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman were willing to give him. And I feel he just wants to go out there and coach football. He just wants to go out there and he seems like a guy that's very open with taking criticism and a guy that's out there willing to take advice from his owner, from his GM, and from his coaching staff. You hear this coaching staff talking this week about Sirianni and about throughout the season about how he's always looking to improve and always looking to build on last week's success. So I feel Sirianni is there. I feel he's a coach that he's just willing to take it all in, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to win a football team, whether that's relying on his players, relying on his coaching staff, and relying on the front office.
Yeah, I think it's fair. All right, guys. So Peenut, Jeff, Mark, I got tomorrow, Friday's show, to give my predictions and thoughts on how it plays out. I know you guys got Peenut and Jeff, your Birds Beer. I'm not sure when you guys are doing your next episode, your final prediction episode. But if the Eagles are going to win, we'll start with Jeff, and then we'll go to Peenut. And then we already know Mark says they're going to be blown out. But we're going to ask Mark how they get there. Jeff, for the Eagles to win their second Super Bowl in 5 years, their second Super Bowl in franchise history, Jeff, how does it happen, and does it happen?
Look, this is a matchup of the two best teams in both conferences, and we don't get this that very often. The Chiefs, they obviously have the best or better head coach, in my opinion, and the better quarterback. But I feel this Eagles team has the better overall football team, and it's definitely going to be a difference. I feel that dominant pass rush with Patrick Mahomes, as well as Andy Reid says that Mahomes will be ready for Sunday and be almost at full strength. He hasn't faced a defense like this. I know everyone keeps on talking about that the Eagles haven't played a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes overall, besides maybe a few games here and there, hasn't played a defense that's as ferocious and as dangerous at getting after the quarterback and as opportunistic as this defense. And I feel this defense is going to cause a lot of problems for Mahomes and Andy Reid, and he's going to be really missing Tyreek Hill this coming week. I feel the X factor for the Chiefs for them to win is going to be Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, the Eagles, our linebackers have played well overall this season, but we know the dangers of facing a premier tight end. Luckily, against San Francisco, granted they didn't have a quarterback. George Kittle was, well, for the most part, maintained. I'm hoping for similar success, but the Eagles, they have to be aggressive. I keep on hearing fans talking about the only way to beat the Chiefs, or the way to beat the Chiefs, is by running the football and wearing out the clock. You don't want to play that game. You don't want to play conservative. You don't want to play scared. I want to see the Sirianni and the offensive game plan that we have seen all season long, where they have aired it out and exploited their speedy receivers against opposing defenses and the big play scenario. So I feel the Eagles, the only way they lose this game is if they beat themselves at penalties and turnovers, which Jalen Hurts this season overall has not done a lot of. He's been one of the more quarterbacks taking care of the football, and I feel he continues that, especially with the dominant wide receivers and the weapons he has at his disposal. I feel the Eagles win a close one, though. I feel they win 24-20.
Wow, that's a pretty low-scoring game, too. All right, Peenut, to follow up what Jeff said, how do you feel this game's going to play out, and how do the Eagles either get a close win or the blowout win that Mark thinks that they're going to get?
I hope it's a blowout win. That way I can drink more beer and not focus so much on like my heart attack. You know what I mean? But I agree with Jeff on this one. I think we need to play. Listen, it's the last game of the season. They're all going to have to lay it all on the field. I feel like this defensive front has something to prove. There's a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I want to see Hassan Reddick do what he's been doing through this playoff run. Everyone hears Patrick Mahomes, and there's this aura, there's this fear, and not to take anything away from me, he's literally one of the greatest quarterbacks that's playing in the NFL right now, if not the greatest quarterback playing in the NFL. But I think if this defense does what it needs to do and what it's been doing the last couple weeks, and we get to Mahomes, we pressure him, and listen, if he dinks and dunks, then that's exactly what we want them to do. We don't want Kelce breaking a 25, 30-yard run, yards after whatever. I honestly think this team is honed in. I think the quarterback sets the tone. I think this offense is prepared, and I think Hurts is going to let it all on the field at this point, and that's the kind of Hurts you want. You want the guy using his legs. You want him making smart decisions with the ball. And I don't think the Kansas City, and we talked about how they have never faced this defense before. I don't think the Chiefs really face an offense like the Philadelphia Eagles. We can run this ball down your throat if we have to. And I expect them, and I'm hoping Mark's right. Mark, if you're right, I owe you a cheeseburger. But I expect them to go out there, be extra focused, make minimal mistakes. I expect the defense to actually to take the ball away a couple times. I think Gardner Johnson is going to be a problem for Mahomes, and I think Sirianni got this team fundamentally prepared to play this game. I say Eagles win 31-34.
All right, so 31-34? So 34-31.
I'm sorry, 34-31. Forgive me.
Do you think the Eagles win by scoring less points?
By scoring less, yeah.
That'll
be the first time in Super Bowl history. You heard it here first.
All right, Mark. All right, you're up. Let's see what kind of lag we got this time. Let's see. How do they win by blowout fashion like you think it's going to happen?
Okay. They're going to come and play their football game. Okay, they are not going to acquiesce to the Chiefs. They went into the Giants game, they went into the 49ers game, and dictated how that game was going to be played. And it was up to those opponents to keep up, and they could not keep up. Mm-hmm. They're going to do the same thing against Kansas City, and it's all going to be line play. That offensive line is going to run block and pass block like they've never done before. Mm-hmm. Their defensive line is going to get after it. I mean, did you see Hassan Reddick in that NFC Championship game? He was foaming from the mouth, literally foaming from the mouth. They are going to win in the lines. Mm-hmm. And then Hurts is going to use his legs like he hasn't shown in the playoffs. I think they've been waiting for this game to really let him loose. And he's going to pick those two corners, those rookie corners apart with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Look for a huge game from Devontae Smith. Look for a huge game from Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell. Mm-hmm. I think they win 37-14. I don't think they stop scoring until that clock hits zero. And I honest to God, this goes back to conversations, Jeff, Howie, we are not to be embarrassed. I think they embarrass Andy Reid on Sunday. 37-14, book it.
That is Turf Talk Mark right there. Or not Turf
Club Mark. Come on, man.
Turf Club Mark, with a bold prediction. A 3-touchdown win. Wow. That's kind of bold. But what Mark's saying, and I will wrap this up, and I want to get quick answers from Peenut and Jeff on this, and Mark, you can chime in too if you want. My man Shane Haff, who's a Chalk Talk host, Peanut Lines, friend of the show, been on many times, put out a stat the other day that to get to Mark's thing, you're going to have to air it out. Like you guys said, air it out, not be cautious, be aggressive. But Jalen Hurts is 3 of 10 on those deep aggressive throws since his shoulder injury. One of those being the completion, not completion to Devontae Smith. Jeff, you're nodding your head. Are you concerned at all about Jalen Hurts' shoulder in this game not being able to? Because I've seen his throws, his deep throws. He's not letting it rip the way he used to. And that is still my biggest concern, that he's a lot more hurt than he's letting on.
It's definitely in the back of your mind that you have to think about. And I'll say it's something that Sirianni is going to have to think about in the back of his mind when it comes to his game plan on Sunday. I still feel he's still going to – this is the biggest game of the year. The opportunity to win your first Super Bowl as a head coach and Jalen Hurts' first Super Bowl in their opportunity. It's definitely something that you're hoping that nothing bad happens, because look, he's going to be your franchise quarterback, and you don't want a major injury right before you're about to give him a big deal. But I feel the 2 weeks rest and the time to sit back and relax, it's going to help a little bit. I know it's an injury that's not going to go away completely, but hopefully he is not going to be as much pain as was reported and alluded to going into the NFC Championship game. But definitely, it's definitely hoping that this offense doesn't find a way to slow down, because that was a little bit concerning in that San Francisco game when he missed A.J. Brown deep down the field, because it was very uncharacteristic of this offense and of Jalen Hurts, the overthrow, especially a speedy A.J. Brown as much as he did. I know we're worried about Jalen Hurts, but the question is, should we be worried about A.J. Brown's injury? Because that's also another factor. And I agree with Mark that Devontae, he's going to have a big game, because I feel these this defense, the Chiefs defense, is going to try to find ways to control A.J. Brown because they know he's their big playmaker, and it's going to open things up for Devontae and Goddard and the rest of this offense. So we'll see.
Little tease, I will do an episode in the offseason when that happens, that Devontae Smith is a better wide receiver than A.J. Brown. Go ahead, Mark.
All right, we're talking about injuries now. Mahomes has a high ankle sprain. Those things don't go away over a week. Kelsey was a game-time decision in the AFC Championship game. Whatever his injury was, what was it, a lower body injury or an ab injury? I don't know. Back spasm. Back spasms just don't go away. Maybe they shoot him up. I don't know. So you want to talk about Hurts being hurt and A.J. Brown being hurt? Like if Mahomes is not mobile in that pocket there, he's going to get eaten alive. He's going to get eaten alive. And yeah, can he work some magic? Absolutely he can. But, you talk about our guys being hurt and, oh, woe is us. Listen, man, these guys aren't perfect either. And if not, they're probably more banged up. Did you see the injury list that we had today? It was pretty clear. So I've never seen an Eagles football team going into a playoff or Super Bowl game, for that matter, with an injury list as clean as it looked today. So and that's part of the reason why I'm saying that this is going to be a bloodbath, because I don't think Holmes and Kelsey are going to be able to keep up with that defense, and they're not going to be able to get the traction that they think they are. They're going to get behind, and they're going to forget about their running back from Rutgers. He's not going to run the ball, and he's just going to keep throwing and throwing and throwing, and it's going to be to their detriment, and you're going to see the Eagles win big.
Okay, Peenut, real quick. Any addition to this injury part of the conversation? That
I think Mark nailed it. Look, we're in the last game of the year. Who's not banged up? You know what I mean? But the high ankle sprain does concern me. Not concern me. I mean, what do I care? But it should concern the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not an injury that just goes away. And maybe they shoot him up or whatever. But what happens? Maybe we don't get the first couple sacks, but we're hitting him, and we're hitting him low. We're pressuring him, and to what Mark said, yeah, he's absolutely right. Like, this is going to hinder, and he is going to work his magic. I mean, the guy throws like this sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't. What is that? But I don't know. It works. It works.
The Brett Favre method.
Yeah, right. Listen,
so crazy there.
Yeah, I've never seen a guy do stuff. Yeah, Brett Favre probably did it a couple times, but I think injuries are going to play big into this as well. You're right, absolutely right, and on Hurts' standpoint, the shoulder sprain, man, shoot that guy up with whatever we need to, man. Like just give him some oxy. I don't care. Give him whatever it needs to get. Just get that throw motion. I think Hurts' injury is a lesser problem.
What was that lotion that Barry Bonds used to use? The cream in the clear,
shoulder
or something like that.
Get him some icy hot. His injury is less of a concern to what Mahomes' injury is, and I think. Yeah, just pump him full of drugs at this point. Who cares if he fails?
I love it, guys. All right, we're gonna wrap up Trending the AM here real quick. So we got Peenut and we got Jeff on the one side of the screen. Birds, Beer, and BS. I can't believe I've said the name AAT Birds on this show. It's the first time in over a year. People don't even know what AAT Bird that I was associated. One of the founding members. They don't know that, but. That's where you can find Jeff and Peenut. Guys, what do you guys got going on this week with the Super Bowl over on your show?
You want to tell Jeff?
We're having a Super Bowl Sunday preview show a couple hours before kickoff Sunday. So make sure to check out the AT Sports Network YouTube and Facebook page. We'll be going live on there. If anyone wants to join, I'll post a link. We'll have a little bit open platforms. Any Eagles fans want to come on, give their predictions, talk about the big game, what they're looking forward to. If their wives want to come on to talk about the commercials or the halftime show, whatever. It's gonna be a little bit of a party. So come on over, talk some football with the Birds, Beers, and BS crew.
And then Peenut, again, you and your son Evan, who I just want to say, I love your son, man. I'm a follower of his other YouTube page. You guys are going to start your own YouTube show as well. Weekly Warriors, right?
Weekly Warriors. Me and him started.
Warriors or Warriors?
Warriors, like if you're worried, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what Warriors. I think it is. But it sounds like you're talking like my grandma, man, saying Warriors, like water or rough.
Double entendres, man. Double entendres, man. You got to keep them guessing. You can catch us on it's called My Broadcasting System on YouTube. Short is My BS. Double entendre. But yeah, subscribe. We just started. We don't have much going on. We have a couple videos on there now. But starting mid-March, we're going to be doing weekly shows, and come support us and watch our show, I guess.
I love it. So Peenut and Jeff, I got one final question for you guys, and it's a really quick answer. Marc invited his entire town to his house for Super Bowl Sunday. Over 20,000 people invited to his house. Over under 2.5 people watching the Super Bowl at his house.
Take the over.
I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to go with the over.
I'll go with the over. I'm sure some family members or something will come over.
He's got a wife and he's got a son that'll watch it. I don't know if his daughter will be home from school to watch it, but his son and wife will be there.
Yeah, that's the over.
I would take the overs. Take the overs. Listen, I'm fanatical about the Eagles. It's one of the few things in life that actually makes me happy, and it's a great hobby of mine that I have. I tried to round up She knows. You've seen videos. She knows. So I tried to round up. There you go. You got the belt and everything.
By the way, here's your belt that you lost.
That is not allowed. There's a cheater amongst us. Get that belt off my screen. That's my belt. That's my championship.
You need to go reclaim it. You should wrestle him on his lawn and get that belt back.
It's not my belt. It's Peenut's belt. At my house.
It's my belt. It's
that's yours? Then Peenut, you need to go reclaim that, brother.
Nah, hold on. Don't let him fool you, man. I'm the champion.
It's not mine. He's just here for our shows. But no, the backstory is Phil accused Peenut for cheating.
I broadcasted the draft on the DSM Media Networks.
That was your fault.
Draft. And Peenut was watching and stole every player I said on the show.
Only half of them, because he only picked ahead of you for half of the picks. So
half the picks.
So basically, Phil, you were playing yourself in the championship.
I was basically playing my own team in the championship game. Yes, exactly. That was still the worst thing in my life.
Hey, look, I didn't cheat. I paid attention.
You did. You are a supporter of my work, Peenut. That's what I greatly appreciate. You're a supporter of my work. You challenge me and you make donations to all the charities I support. I got nothing but love for you. Except for the fact that you cheated and stole my belt.
Hey, there's always next year, Phil. There's always next year.
I quit. I'm retiring from fantasy football. I'm never doing it ever again. I've been playing fantasy football for 30 years. I'm never doing it again because of that.
Hey, it was my first time ever doing fantasy football. So
you want?
I'm the Nick Sirianni of fantasy football. You see that? Yeah. My first year, I'm the champ, bro.
Oh, Rain Man.
You can't my story.
Breaks my heart. But anyway, I love you guys. Peenut, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. Again, make sure everybody likes, subscribes, follows on all social media platforms, but specifically the YouTube page at DSM Media. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers by Super Bowl Sunday. Guys, what can I do special? If we get to I know it's like a big, bold move, but what can I do big if we get to 1,000 subscribers by Super Bowl Sunday?
Dye your hair green. And the beard.
Nothing. Dude, I would do that.
Wait, hold on, I take my back. Go ask Jeff. Ask Jeff first.
Give me 50 subscribers and I'll dye my hair green. That's it. I'll shave my beard for 50
Shave your beard. Shave your beard.
You got to have an airplane and Facebook Live it.
No.
Jesus Christ.
There's zero chance of that. Zero chance of that. Dude, you can give me 100,000 subscribers and I wouldn't do that. No way in hell on that.
But it's like kicking the nuts.
Yeah. Can I wear a cup? Can I wear a cup on that?
Nah, shave the beard. The beard comes off. You get to 1,000.
Get to 1,000 by the end of by the Super Bowl. I'll shave my beard. I'll do it live. I'll do it live on AAT Sports Network. That would be the ultimate goal. I would let someone else from the AAT Sports Network shave my beard on the next 1,000 subscribers.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Hey, you make it happen, guys, and we'll do that live. That'll be the ultimate combo show right there. Everybody, again, thank you very much. Friday we'll be back. Me and Jason will give our final predictions, final keys to victory, final keys to an Eagles Super Bowl parade being hosted in a few days. We'll also talk Rihanna and the halftime show, commercials, everything else Friday morning. Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. Trending in the AM. Yo, we'll see you tomorrow.